Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. It's our final episode of 2021. We'll be ticking off our holiday lists, discussing our year in review, and making plans for 2022. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hello, hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us.
By the time that I wrote the info for the intro to this, we were going to be discussing our year in review, and we are going to discuss our year in review,
still will.
But maybe not as fully as we planned on, because we're Untapped. You were meant to put your
you've let us down, and you've not.
And you haven't, and but this is properly literally our last recording session. I'm off to the US later this week, and I've got bags literally strewn everywhere, half packed.
Have you got empty bags to bring beer back in?
That's yes, I do important. Actually. So I mean, it's not just me. I don't want to sound really sad. It's not just me. We are taking a second bag that we're going to share. My husband,
right?
For anyone listening, I don't know why I didn't say Rick, but I felt like in case.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're listening, but yeah, Rick and I are taking a second bag because he's got car stuff that he wants to bring back. I've got beer I want to bring back, and then we're gonna have Christmas presents we're gonna have to bring back. So it's kind of like swings and roundabouts. But how are we gonna do this? So we're like, we'll just share one bag, and then because it's like £100 each or something like that.
Are they?
Bag? Yeah,
bags are horrendous. Do you know what? I came back from the cruise ship once. I came back, so I had this sweet flight on it was either Virgin or American. No, BA was my favorite. Back from New York on one of my cruise ships. I'd been on basically on this same ship for about 2 years, so I've managed to squirrel away a little bit, and I had about 4 bags to bring back with me, and I ended up spending $700 on bags. When I just gave them my credit card and went,
just don't tell me,
just pay for it, just pay it. And they were like, oh, that's a lot, is it? And I was like, I cannot repack these, there is no way.
It's
take the credit card.
It's the stress, isn't it, as well, of where do things sit,
right.
Weight distribution, all that. When I moved here, I literally did it I posted nothing. I took everything in. Rick came to meet me. We literally packed up, I don't know, I think in total, for counting carry-ons and my snowboard as one thing, literally I think we had 10 bags total. So you can imagine the nightmare we had trying to book a cab. We had to be we need a people carrier, and they're like, how many people? 2 people. They're like, you don't need a people carrier. We're like, no, we need a people carrier.
Yes, we do, believe me, I know what I'm talking about.
But I totally relate. You're like, I don't want to repack this, just
I couldn't. I'd already stood in the corner and tried. I'd already tried. It wasn't happening.
The only top tip for anyone that is traveling during the holidays, that is look, I can't, I'm taking an extra bag. Say you've got 2 bags that are overweight by a slight amount, just put it all in one and let the one be overweight, so you're not paying for 2 overweight bags. Because that's what we did, is we're repack it so that we've only got the least amount of overweight bags possible. Then we're only paying for 1 overweight extra bag. So I mean, whether that happens this year, I don't know. I've got lots of beer that I plan on bringing back. I'm bringing lots of beer there and some Christmas presents, so we will see. I really hope that I get everything in my bag this time. Thankfully, we're staying at my parents', so I don't have to bring so many clothes because I can use a washing machine. But
that's helpful.
But I like options, so it's difficult. It's extra difficult. So we'll see what happens. But I'll be interested to see what beers I manage to bring back, because I want to have my sister has a whole bunch of beers waiting for me in the US, and there's multiples. I'm like, well, I want to drink one in the US and then try to take the other home if I've got one or more. That's because I'm really conscious that if I buy a 4-pack, for example, put them in my bag and it all explodes, I'll never have gotten a chance to try it.
No,
so I'm try one and then take the rest home with me. So that way, if anything explodes, it's kind of well, I got a chance to try it, so it's all right. It's just a bonus for anything that makes it back. But it's so sad though, because this is our proper last time recording, and it's just weird because I don't know. You'll be getting weird time zone messages from me. You'll be ready to go to bed, and I'll be like, Joe, I found a thing.
I know my phone's going to be lighting up in the middle of the night, and Gordon's going to be like, what does Tori want now?
Hopefully I'll find you your utopia, maybe. I don't
That'd
know.
be amazing.
No
pressure. No pressure. You know, I want you to
excited.
enjoy your time with your family. Like, I don't want you just.
I mean, I am going to try.
Time.
I am going to try to go to Sam Adams because I feel like I am a joke in that
because you've never been.
I've
and then you're going to take pictures of all the merch, right? And tell me what like, ask me what I want, and I'll send you money.
This is where your clothing line would be strung across the bar when you move in to the Sam Adams Brewery.
Yeah.
Inside joke, fun stuff. I'm excited. I got my Christmas jumper on. You've got a better Christmas jumper.
I've got my Christmas jumper on. This is so in case for those that are watching the video, I've got a Christmas jumper on that is a skull made up of like different little Christmas things, stars, candy canes, icicles. It's also got like
snowflakes on it. That's
snowflakes. It's got like tattooy things on it as well, so like bluebirds,
lightning bolts.
So this was designed by my friend Gemma, and she runs the store Jeff Leopard. She's on Etsy, and I highly recommend. She does Christmas cards and everything like that as well. When this comes out, we'll be past Christmas, but she does year-round cool shiz. So highly recommend.
I follow her on Instagram. Leopard. But I absolutely love that. I mean, I'm not. I was like, who are you wearing? And you're like wearing something like really interesting. I'm just wearing a PlayStation jumper.
I mean, it's a pink PlayStation.
I think
jumper.
I wore it last year as well, but it was either this or Drake. But I packed Drake.
Yeah,
I've packed my Hanukkah Drake jumper. He's in my bag, so you just got me in all my pink glory today. Guess that brings us to kind of our first topic, which is Christmas themed beers. So basically, what we've done this time. So last year, recap, we've done a Christmas episode, like a dedicated Christmas episode where we sort of like rounded up all the best like Christmas beers. We drank Christmas beers. We talked about all the Christmas stuff. And then we did a separate end of year episode. But then this year, obviously, because we can travel this year and I'm going away, we were like, you know what? We had so many other good time sensitive things, interviews, everything else that we were like,
we had so many cool people to talk to.
So many good conversations that we didn't want to like put out. We were just like, we'll mush it into one episode. So we're going to start with a Christmas theme and then we'll move into our end of year and what we've done throughout it. Go, Jo.
Do you want to know a fun fact before we move on to Christmas beers?
Yeah.
Can you guess how many breweries we interviewed this year?
Oh, that's good. I feel like that should be after. I feel like that should be a trivia fact after the Christmas, because that's like an end of year wrap up. Did you write down like fun facts about our podcast?
Oh yeah, I've written down some things that we did this year that I thought it was worth highlighting.
Oh, let's save that for after the Christmas. Okay, we'll save it for after the Christmas.
Now you've all got to listen to find out how many breweries we spoke to.
Well, now I'm intrigued to know what other facts you've got. Like is it like a swear counter or something?
Oh, I haven't done that. That would have been fun.
How many times do you think you said the F word? And I'll be like, oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
It's too many.
No, I think it was arguably the worst when we had Top Rope on, because I was feeding off that. And I was like, normally I try to be really good, but if I have a guest on that also is sweary, all bets are off, because then I'm just like, I don't have to censor myself. Great.
And it's like usually when you're very passionate about something.
But then also, if we're having a conversation, like when we're talking, if I'm just talking to you after, I will swear like crazy. And then I'm like, camera on, like, try not to swear so much. Try to be at least like a little bit good so that like YouTube doesn't get angry or anything else like that. But yeah, it's save the fun facts. I'm excited for the fun facts. But yeah, basically what we were going to do is we're going to pick beers for each of these different themes, and then we'll explain why, we'll drink the beer, and then we'll have a bit of chat about the overall theme. So I haven't told you, I mean, you can see in the outline now, but I haven't told you which beers that I picked. No. You haven't told me which beers that you picked. So do you want to tell me which one your Christmas themed beer is and why you picked it?
So for Christmas, I haven't actually got that many Christmas beers in this year compared to last year. I feel like I got a lot in last year. This year I have picked Filthy Animals by Gypsy Hill, which is a spiced plum mild. And I picked this one because we got given it when we went into the
Some of us got given it.
Some of us weren't working.
It's the drawback.
We got given it along with a fun tote bag when we went into the London craft beer market at London Christmas craft beer market. In fact, 2 C's in there, which we went to, and I thought, not only is it festive, it's also to do with Home Alone, which is fun. But also, like, it was a really fun day, and we had really good memories from it. It was a bit podcasty, bit women's pint clubby, making new friends and meeting old ones, and eating cake and beer at Three Hills. It was awesome.
I love the cake and beer. Like, literally, I took it home and it was still good the next day. I was just like,
I'm now following them on Instagram and regretting it, because they all of that. So we're talking about Shima, who do Japanese Swiss rolls in London.
Have you looked at their website?
No.
Oh, don't do that to yourself. I think they deliver within a certain radius. They do not deliver to temp, I don't believe.
Man. There was a tiramisu one the other day, and I was like, that looks just, and a yuzu one. Can confirm their cakes of all forms are delicious. They look beautiful. If you are in the London area and can get cake from Shima, go do it. Christmas top tip.
They do all kinds of like different ones as well. And there was something on there that's saying like you could request custom ones if there was like a custom one you wanted to see. I think it was them that had that, and I was just like, I was scrolling through the gallery. I was like, God, these look amazing. And then I was like, why did I do this to myself?
And I feel like a lot of the arches in Bermondsey are kind of having them in because they're in that similar area. Like Three Hills have had them, I believe Craft Beer Junction have had them, Brew by Numbers had them do their birthday party. So
I saw that the Brew by Numbers around. They spelled out BBNO in their cakes, and I was like, oh my God, it's amazing.
So I think keep an eye on the arches in Bermondsey if you want to try.
I'll definitely be having them again. I will 100% go. Like next time I'm in London or in that area of London, I would definitely like have their cakes again. So the Christmas market was really the London Christmas beer market was genuinely really fun, and I think it was podcasty in the sense of like we found breweries we wanted to check out together, we ticked off things we wanted to drink together, but then it was, like you said, very women's pint clubby in that we had some of the ladies, I got to meet some people for the first time that I hadn't spoken to in person, and I got to see Louise again, which was really great. But yeah, it was a really fun day overall, although because I was working, I didn't get the beer. No, so it sounds really nice as well. It sounds really
nice, which is why I'm excited to try it.
Okay, rude in your face, but funny. My beer is called Wet Bandits.
Oh,
so it is.
So we are
Home Alone theme.
Home Alone themed beers.
And this one's a Phantom Brew Co. one that's sort of it's in collaboration with The Hive, which is my most local craft beer cafe. I guess I'd say craft beer cafe because it is like a coffee shop, it is a cafe, all that. I picked it just because I was like, it's got the artwork. I mean, it's a pale ale, 4.5% pale ale, so not necessarily what you think of Christmas in the terms of flavors.
So I think that's really interesting because I think you're seeing more like winter IPAs and like Christmas IPAs coming out. I personally, as we all know, not much of a hoppy beer person, and at this time of the year I'm like, yes, we get all the fun, spiced plum milds and spiced Belgian beers.
That sounds amazing to me.
And like all of this, imperial stouts and winter warmers and all of these lovely things, so that makes me really happy. And then they're like, here's a Christmas IPA, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But I understand that, there are lots of people within the craft beer community that enjoy IPAs. So it makes sense to make something that they enjoy.
Part of it probably is as well when you have a brewery that really excels at
if that's what you're really good at making.
And hazy beers and stuff like that. I'm not saying that in Phantom aside, because Phantom do really good stuff all around. But I'm saying like if you're like Verdant, for example, and you do like a lot of like dippers and IPAs and stuff like that, yes, you could release a stout. Yes, you could release other things that are more winter festive, but then at the same time I can also appreciate how you might be like, I could do this, or I could do what I know I'm really good at, and then just make it festive in name. But I mean, this one I don't even think it's winter, it's literally extra pale oats, golden naked oats, those are all the malts, and chit. I don't know if I've said that right. Does that sound right to you?
And what is it?
Chit,
yes, it's a type of grain.
Yeah, so that's all the malt bill for it.
Okay.
Then they've used the Brew one, Citra BBC, which is those 2 hops.
Mm-hmm.
And then the yeast strain is Verdant. Funny.
That's funny.
And then, yeah, again, it's like, I love how they put ingredients, like ingredients, barley, oats, hops, yeast. Cool. So yeah, I don't think there's anything particularly winter festive about it other than the fact that it's literally just a Home Alone reference can. But I picked it because you know, I thought it was a nice sessionable way to sort of ease into our conversations and the rest of our beers, and it's 2 local things to me, so yeah, I quite like that. It's quite different. And then also, to be quite honest, it was a lot more of a practical choice as well, because a lot of the other winter ones, like you said, they are stouts, they are sours, they're porters, the things that will tend to keep a bit longer. Where I'm going away, I'm like, I want this when it's nice. I don't want to be having this when I get back, by the time I get around to having it when I get back. So it was also a practical
Drink your beer fresh, yo.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guilty. I don't always do that. But I do try.
I was having a conversation at a bottle share the other day. And two of us were like, yeah, you end up with all those IPAs and the light beers in the back of the fridge, and you go, oh no, I forgot that I had those. I should have drunk those first, but I was really excited about all the dark beers, so I drank those instead.
Completely. And then I've even gone thematic sort of in my glass, because I picked Phantom's glass, which also happens to be pink, and it's a nice fancy looking glass as well.
It smells amazing.
Just like put it in my face, where you're like, oh,
sorry,
I've got this thing that you didn't get. And it smells amazing, and it looks amazing.
It looks amazing.
But I do like that we both went Home Alone theme. I think
that's do without even realizing.
Yeah, because I only shared this with you today after I'd already added all the stuff and you'd already picked yours. So
this is quite like, it's almost kind of chestnutty brown, which is quite light for a mild. I expect a mild to be a bit more ruby in colour, but you know, that's not a problem. It's got a thick tan head on it. It's all the spices and plum.
Mine just looks and smells like a full-on hazy pale. I mean, it's not massively hazy, but it has that like that citrusy smell that you tend to get with like a lot of, and it's very like light tropical fruit, but it's got that citrusiness, and it just sort of has that hazy pale ale smell to it. Even though, I mean, it's definitely hazy, but it's not. If you could see it in person, the camera sort of distorts it. It's hazy, but I've had far more difficult one. Yeah, definitely. But it smells nice. I think it's one that I'll definitely enjoy.
Mine smells like Christmas. It smells like Christmas cake.
Mine smells like the summer, but but it tastes good. So
that's a good Christmas beer.
Mine's definitely not giving me Christmas vibes. It's just giving me like happy hoppy vibes.
I'm getting like
hoppy Christmas. That's what it is. Mine's hoppy Christmas.
I'm getting like dried fruit, plum, obs, because it's plum mild. Like Christmas pudding, but like a really light Christmas pudding.
Yeah.
Cinnamon, nutmeg, bit of ginger, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of more or less what I would expect from that. Yeah. I did expect that to be more on the Christmas pudding type side of things.
It's got quite a light body, but that's okay because it's a mild. It's not watery, I wouldn't say, but it's got a lighter body. And I think with those flavors, sometimes you expect it to be kind of thick and chewy, and it's not. But the lightness makes it very drinkable.
I kind of appreciate that, because I think when you have more of those like dried fruits and it gets quite sweet dried fruits, I think if it's too thick, and definitely if it's syrupy, it almost becomes overwhelming much. And it's too rich to the point that you're like, actually it's too sweet. I can't really enjoy it, because it just feels like it's coating your mouth and you're like, oh. So actually I kind of prefer that.
And like the spices are there, but they're not overpowering. Like they're at a nice level.
Again, I'll just say mine's good. Like I said, it's very much hoppy Christmas as opposed to happy Christmas. I'm not getting Christmas vibes. It's just a nice sessionable standard pale ale, really. I'm not there's no complaints about it whatsoever. But it's definitely like, after hearing you like, oh, it tastes like Christmas, like, oh, mine does not taste like Christmas.
Sorry.
But it's good. It's definitely good. It's got a fun can, so there we go.
It's got a good label.
Speaking of Christmas beers, so actually before we kind of go on to that, I thought it would be quite interesting to kind of talk about when we say a Christmas beer. What's your opinion on like what makes a beer a Christmas beer? Because obviously I could say this one is a Christmas beer, but that's strictly because of the label.
Yeah.
Whereas other ones might have more Christmassy taste to it, but have a name that's not at all Christmas. Like, is it for you? Is it flavor? Are there certain flavors?
I think there's flavors and there's styles. In flavors, if I'm really like, oh yeah, that's Christmassy, spiced, dried fruits, maybe toffee or caramel kind of in there, Christmas cake, Christmas pudding, that sort of thing. Then there's kind of styles as well. Like I think anything that's slightly spiced. So like some Belgian beers are really good at this time of year because those Belgian yeasts give spiciness, especially the darker ones. But I think darker beers, because we're in the winter season, like you want like those beers that are slightly higher ABV and you can sip on them and it's
warming.
cozy.
You want like a nice warming beer, isn't it?
Yeah, or like, do you know what? A flavour that I always think of for Christmas, I always want something that's cherry. I always have something that's cherry.
I can see that. See, I don't know. It's really
I don't
weird,
know why specifically cherry.
I'd think more like raspberry. I don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason behind it.
Raspberry's the summer, cherry's the winter for me.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, it's weird. That's weird to think about because there are certain. I don't know. That is interesting because I think cherry I could have year round, and I don't.
Well, I mean, I could have it year round, yeah.
No, but I mean, like, I don't think I'd associate. Like for me, I wouldn't go cherry, winter.
Christmas. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because, like, I'm not a red wine fan and I'm not a mulled wine fan.
Okay.
But I feel like cherry is like my substitute for mulled wine. So, like, when we had the Glue Crick last year from Leafman's, that I was just like, that was amazing. And I had it on, even I wasn't even bothered about having it warmed up. I just had that straight out of the bottle.
I was gonna say, did you warm up any of it?
I did. Yeah, I did try it mulled. It was all right.
How was it? I was gonna say,
it was good. I think having it mulled dulled the flavour a little bit. But I was indoors. And I think if I was out like somewhere that was cold and I was all wrapped up warm, we were out like at Christmas market or something, like a mulled creek would be amazing.
I think there's probably also part of that as well, is when you're outside and you're cold, as well, in like if you're walking through a winter market and you're drinking something, it's almost like you're probably not going to get the full flavors, full stop, whether you're drinking something hot or cold.
Yeah. So
it's more about sort of like you said, the situational
and the overall experience
part of that, and the overall experience, and that it feels like it's cold out, you want something nice and warm to keep you hot, whereas when you're inside and you can probably taste more of a range of flavors just because you're in a more comfortable warm setting. I could totally understand that.
What do you look for in Christmas beers?
So I kind of think like part of it is the label. Like because I'm such a sucker for it, I'm a label magpie, like so much. If I see something that's got a Christmas theme to it on the label, I'm like, yep, into it. Like, let's go. Fine, happy days. I consider that Christmassy because the label, obviously,
obviously.
But then I also think like, yeah, you have like, I totally agree with you in the sense that style-wise, it's definitely darker beers for me is what I sort of relate to Christmas. And then when it comes to flavors, I would agree with you that it's spiced. But then I also think that it's weird because I think sometimes it's something that you could have year round and it doesn't necessarily make you think Christmas. But if you're picking out beers at Christmas time, you're like, oh, this would be a good Christmas one. So things that are like really rich and chocolatey, I agree with you. It's like dried fruits, yes. Cherry, I can see how cherry, but I would have never made that connection on its own. But yeah, I don't know, like for one example that I had was there was New Bristol Brewery did a blueberry pancake and maple syrup stout. And to me, I don't know why, but in my head I was like, oh, that's a bit Christmassy.
Really?
But I don't know if it's because like what it really boils down to is it's like the indulgence.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's a stout that's like a sweeter stout and it's a more indulgent stout and it's going to be on the sweeter level as well, like maybe that's what I connect to as well. Or like a treat. What do you have for a treat for breakfast on a weekend? It's like, oh, blueberry pancakes and maple syrup. Like that is a special occasion, special treat breakfast. So maybe that's where I make that connection.
Okay.
I don't know, but I do think it's kind of like spice things, dried fruit things, rich chocolates.
Chocolate orange.
Yeah, it's chocolate oranges, but I hate it.
I'm not a massive fan of chocolate orange, but that like because cherry chocolate
so
oranges particularly come out at Christmas.
Mint, I think chocolate mint.
Oh yeah.
For me, like after 8 level,
Yeah.
like for me, that's definitely a Christmassy one. Yeah, there's a bunch of things like I said that I think you'd look at and you'd go, oh, that's not really Christmassy. But I would consider that. Like the New Bristol Brewery also did a Black Forest Gatto, and I'd be like, that's a cake. That's a cake. That is like a full-on pudding in itself. So in my head, I'm like, yeah, and Irish cream, like Baileys and that kind of stuff. Again, for some reason, I was connecting that with Christmas. Yeah, that's exactly it. Some rich indulgence and also all the like breakfasty when you can drink it in the morning at breakfast. That is which leads me on perfectly to sort of the next topic of like Christmas themed beers that we've noticed this year. And the reason I said that is because Vault City have done their Bucks Fizz again this year, because they did it last year as well. And then they've done the Raspberry Kir Royale.
Yeah.
I had their Kir Royale. I've got their Kir Royale from last year. No, not from last year. I think it was from earlier this year. And I bought it, but I've been holding off because I wanted to buy an actual bottle of Kir Royale. But annoyingly, that only comes out around Christmas time in my local store. So I couldn't get one. But yeah, I'm excited I really want those. So if I can find them, I will definitely be getting them. But I've been doing borrowing myself from ordering anything until I get back from the US, because I need to save some money because I'm going to be on holiday. It's like not going to be cheap, I don't think. So
yeah.
So yeah. Oh, and that's another one. Fierce's People Like Buns. They're cinnamon buns. So I know that that's not a Christmas release for them, but cinnamon buns are something else that I relate to Christmas. And I think that's because we do something called monkey bread on Christmas.
Okay.
The morning of Christmas for breakfast, which is basically you get Pillsbury, which is like a brand in the US. It's like already made dough for cinnamon buns, and you chop it up into smaller pieces, put it together in like a bunt tray, a bunt pan, whatever you call it. And then bunt pan. I was like, pan or tray? And then you sort of drizzle it with melted butter, put a little bit of cinnamon and sugar over the top, and then you've got the icing that you top on after you've baked it. So it's sort of like you bake it and it turns into like a tear and share, like a cinnamon roll tear and share, and then you just drizzle the icing on it. It's definitely like everyone's going to be like, I've got diabetes listening to you talking about that.
I was gonna say.
But it's an indulgence that we only do on Christmas morning, and you have that with a nice mimosa / Bucks Fizz, depending on where you are in the world. And for me, like that's Christmas. So when I see People Like Buns, I'm like, oh, cinnamon buns, that's Christmas to me.
Amazing.
So what other Christmas beers have you noticed? I've got a few with me, but
so I'm quite pleased that Brew York have kept their Christmas beers up to a trio. I've got those. I know you've got
the same, aren't they? It's always the Fairy Tale, the Nightmare.
So the Fairy Tale of New York was the first one that came out. Then they added Nightmare
and Brew Dreams.
Yeah, and so I'm quite pleased that you get like it's 2 milk stouts this year, I believe, and a sour.
Yeah.
That makes me super happy.
So we've got the Dreams of Brew York 2021 as the cherry and cranberry sour. So you
nice. That'll go really well with Christmas dinner.
Yeah. And then you've got Nightmare of Brew York, which is the peanut, pecan, maple, and vanilla imperial milk stout, which I think is similar to the one they had last year, because I think it was, if not identical, a majority of the same nuts were going into that. And then Fairy Tale of Brew York, which is a gingerbread milk stout, which they didn't do gingerbread last year. I think they did a different milk stout last year.
Yeah. Gingerbread, you can have that on Christmas Eve. There you go. Done.
Yeah, that's another one. Gingerbread. Those are flavors.
Oh yeah, gingerbread flavors. Do you know what? My favorite I'm not a massive gingerbread fan, but I had Hardywood's gingerbread stout and it was amazing.
I have one of Wild Weather's gingerbread. I think it was a stout, not a porter. Waiting for me. It's called Queenie. My friend picked one up. He picked 2 up, one for him, and he grabbed one for me because they sold out so quick. And then he managed to get some when they restocked, I think it was. So he grabbed me one. So I'm keen to try it because I'm keen to know. I don't think I've ever had we had one gingerbread last year, didn't we? But that was the Lab Culture, which had been.
Yes.
It was an older one.
Yeah.
So it wasn't sort of tasting at its best. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't taste like I don't think I've had a fresh gingerbread flavored beer over in the UK. I've only had it over in the US, so kind of keen to see what that's like, what it tastes like over here. Is it like more gingery than I'm expecting, or don't know? Be curious to find that out. But speaking of Wild Weather, I do have that's Ruddy Mysterious and it's a cranberry sour.
Ooh, cranberry sours are in this year.
I consider cranberry to be a Christmas flavour. So
I didn't because we don't do cranberry sauce over here, but I do now because of being in America. Yeah, no, we don't do cranberry sauce over here. At least my family don't.
I guess that's true.
Do you know what I do like? I like cranberry gravy. No one else does, just me.
Cranberry gravy.
You make your gravy, but you like infuse it with cranberries. It's good.
Anytime you use the word infuse, I feel like it's got to be like really difficult and really like takes extra time because you're infusing it.
You just chuck cranberries in the gravy when you're cooking it. It's good.
But speaking of the chocolate orange you mentioned as well, I've also got, it's in my bag to go to the US, so it's not over here with me right now, but I've got the elusive collaboration they did called Two Ferrets in a Red Suit, and that's chocolate orange, and I bought it even though I'm like, I don't like chocolate orange.
I looked at that and I was like, I'm not gonna buy that because I'm not a chocolate orange fan. I'm sure it's delightful, but not for me.
Yeah, but I know how good their stouts are, so I was like, I'm just gonna buy it, and I don't like chocolate orange, so I'm not gonna hold it against them if I don't like it by any means, because it's definitely my taste buds. But yeah, I did get my hands on that, but I will be sharing that out because I know that I won't want a whole can by myself because it's just definitely not my flavor. But you will like this one that I've got, which is the Black Iris Drink Beer Hail Santa.
Nice.
That's a spiced stout, and I love that it weighs in at 6.66% ABV.
Nice.
So that's
nice. It's got Krampus on it.
It does indeed, with a child in his little.
That's what Krampus does. Takes kids, chucks them in his bag.
I think that's I think it's a brilliant message to give children. Behave, or someone's
going to go in Krampus's bag.
A monster's going to come kidnap you. And then we will be mentioning this spoiler on the next episode after this airs, which is the Orbit Jolly Saint Nico.
I think as well their Sazerac sour is good for Christmas as well because it's very spiced, and there's a barrel aged version of that which makes it even more decadent.
Yeah, and I don't know, like maybe I feel like coffee-ish things as well. So I had New Bristol Brewery's Irish coffee and vanilla ice cream affogato stout. Ooh. I had that last night. It was so good. But then they also did a collaboration with Yonder called Super Deluxe Brown Sugar Stout. I didn't buy that one because I didn't buy it because I was trying to be really good. I was like, I don't want to buy too much right now. Just wait. If they have it, like when I come back, I will definitely be buying it. But yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll cave in the next few days. I don't know. I can't make any promises. But I did get also Antipatch and Hobday do their yearly Pfeffernusse stout.
So I've not tried that yet.
Did get that one. I had it last year and it was really good. So I did get that as part of a Christmas present for something I got for somebody in the US. So hopefully they like it because it was really good last year, and I'm hoping they open it and share it with me. If I'm honest.
Hilarious.
Trying to think of the other ones though. So I know
S43, I've got their quality stouts.
Yeah.
Which are based on a certain purple box of sweets.
all the best ones that you want to pick out. They did call it like I think they called one like the purple one or something like that,
because that's what the sweet's
pretty
good. So there's a toffee pastry stout, a caramel and hazelnut pastry stout, and a strawberry cream pastry stout.
Yeah, and I saw on tap they also did a spice pear and brandy porter. I don't know if it was cask or keg, but I saw that. I saw them advertise it, but I never saw any cans of it. And when I looked at Untapped to try to find out what the name was, it was called Create Those Moments. It looked like it might have been sort of on tap only sort of thing.
Okay.
That sounded spiced pear and brandy porter. To me, sounds so interesting, so amazing.
Yeah.
Amazon did their yearly release as they usually do, the Sticky Fingers and the Super Santa, which I have a hopped sauce, naughty or nice, collaboration with Amazon, which is Christmas blueberry and maple syrup imperial stout hot sauce, and that is like made with one of their naughty or nice Christmas.
That sounds like madness.
I'm really excited to try it. I love hot sauce. We already know I love hot sauce. It's not for you. You don't like hot sauce, but
you can have all the hot sauce. I'll let you.
I'm really excited for that one. A blueberry, literally, blueberry maple syrup imperial stout hot sauce. Like, I have to now think of something really interesting to pair that with. Maybe like chicken and waffles or something like that. I think it'd be like really, really good. But yeah, that was good. And then like you have all the yearly releases. Like you've got the Christmas Kitty from Brass Castle. And did you manage to get, so there was a Three Hills you were going to get. Three Hills released a few Christmas beers. Did you get the one?
I didn't get the one. I didn't get the pack because I was at work and I can't order from their website when I'm at work because my work blocks alcohol websites. But the Christmas pudding beer and the cranberry beer are on my shopping list, on my Christmas list. So I might have got them. My husband may have bought them for me.
Oh, fingers crossed you get them. Because there was the baby BPA VK, but then they had the ones that they dipped in wax as well.
I know, I haven't got a waxed one, I don't think.
I think they were quite limited release as well. Yeah. They managed to find more, but I think they were only offering it for collection at the tap room. So
yeah,
it's nice.
Well-deserved hype.
Well-deserved hype
for Three Hills.
I've not had a bad Three. Genuinely, I've not had a bad Three Hills yet. I hear everyone saying that the Rocky Road wasn't necessarily the best. I didn't have that one. But yeah, I've not had a bad one personally myself.
Probably one of my breweries of the year, actually.
I think so as well. We'll get on to that, but I think so as well, if I'm honest. But yeah, I mean, there were some others like Tartarus put out Krampus Christmas Cake Impy Porter. That's good. I mean, that's not a yearly release. That's obviously, I think, the first year they've done that. And then you had Northern Monk put out their Wasted Mince Pie Impy Stout, which I mean, that's very Christmassy, isn't it?
I feel like they should reissue roast dinner brown ale as a Christmas dinner brown ale.
That's true. That is true. And instead of having jam roly poly,
you have your wasted mince pie.
Yeah. Oh, the jam roly poly was so.
It was so good. It was so good.
It was so good.
Yeah, that was good. I jumped on those when they came out. Managed to get.
I didn't get the gravy one.
It was good.
Yeah, I thought it would be interesting, but I could only get one, and I was like, I'm getting the jam roly poly, and I have no regrets because it was amazing, actually amazing. But yeah, there's like a whole bunch of imported ones as well. There's like so many like Belgian ones and
always Belgian ones,
and US ones that have come over. So yeah, that's kind of I think the Christmas beer roundup of what we've seen. So if anyone's listening to this and wants to say what their favorite one is, if we've not mentioned it, we've probably missed a whole bunch. Because to be honest, I think where I wasn't staying in the country this year, I didn't want to start doing too much investigation because then I get FOMO.
I forgot. Epochal Christmas Day.
Oh yes, you got one. You got one for me as well.
You've got one as well. Yeah, it was. It's a Scottish pale ale that was finished in Rioja casks with clove-studded clementines. That sounds Christmassy.
That's it. Clementine. That's another one that I feel like is definitely Christmas flavored. Orange in general.
Orangey.
I feel like clementine makes it even more Christmassy, and I don't know why. I don't know what about it.
And studding it with cloves.
Yeah. All that spice.
Yeah.
Christmas traditions. Like, do you have any beer-based Christmas? I know you made a beer. You like to make
I brewed a Christmas beer last year. I didn't necessarily specifically brew a Christmas beer this year. However, I have brewed a dark saison with cherries, which I have been saving for Christmas. I've not tried it yet.
You'll have to report back.
I will report back.
Wow. I don't think I've got anything else to say on Christmas. I feel like I'm all Christmased out now.
Yeah. Hope you all had an excellent holiday season, because we are past it now.
By this point, it's after Christmas. Yeah. But yeah, that is our Christmas portion. And we're going to move on to our recap of 2021.
2021 there were highs and lows, I think. But generally, I think it was a good year.
We need to go change our beer out and then talk about why. Right. So changed outfits.
Yeah, changed outfits.
I had to change my hat because it wasn't matching anymore. But I also couldn't stay in a Christmas jumper too much longer because it was just too damn hot. Yeah, Christmas is over. We're over it. We're heading towards New Year's now. We are heading towards New Year's right now, this exact point. So we thought we'd do like a quick recap. But before we do, Jo, what did you pick to represent your 2021? I'm curious to know what you've picked.
Pink Moon by Liquid Light.
I love that one.
So I picked this because I think it represents like places that we've been visiting this year, because we've been able to visit places. Also, it's from Liquid Light, which is co-owned by Grace Copley. We've chatted with lots of women in beer. We're advocating women in beer, trying to make those voices heard. So I feel like this sums that up nicely. Also, it's just a really good beer.
It's a really good beer. Yeah. Were you getting FOMO because I had it on the episode and then you were like, I'll drink it now. So good. Such a good beer, honestly. Yeah, I kind of went similar vibe because I went with the Mothership Seeds of Hope, which is the hazy peach pale ale.
Yes.
Because again, female owned, operated, like entirely, and it just gets that message out. Obviously, we interviewed the Mothership, we did like all that, and I think it was just a really good way to sort of encapsulate what we've done interview wise. I feel like this last year I have been able to connect with more women in beer, in ways that like last year I did, but not to the same degree. But naturally, because of what we were doing with podcast wise, I just got more opportunity to, and it's been just so great. So I wanted to sort of represent that in a beer, and I love peach. So I was like, I love peach, so I'm going to go with that peach one. And I thought I just want more peach beers, so I just thought I'll represent it like that. Let's crack in.
Let's crack them open. While we crack this open, do you want to guess how many breweries we spoke to this year?
Hit me.
Considering about this time last year, we were probably like, don't know if we'll interview people. We don't know. Do you want to guess how many we ended up interviewing in the end this year?
Okay, let me have a think. Let me have a proper think about it. Because you're right. Because I would say this time last year, we were like, don't know if we're ready to record. Like, let's give it a go. We had some things. I think we probably had interviewed some people by this point. But we were like, no,
our first one was, I want to say, about February time.
Oh, I thought it was sort of end of the year, but you might be right. I think we were at the point where we were like, I don't know. Maybe we're not ready to interview people yet, or maybe that's not, maybe that's not what we're cut out for. But how many did we end up interviewing in the end? 25.
You're so close.
Am I?
So we did 20 different breweries. We also did Yakima Chief Hops.
Okay.
Beer Snack Club.
Yeah.
And we collaborated with Time at the Bar. Also, we were on Homebrew Feminists podcast.
Okay.
I was on Pub Trotters.
Yeah.
And you were on Pints of Brew. Yeah. So so it's about, if we include all the non-breweries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 26.
Are we including
other
interviews we've done that haven't been released? So as of the time of recording,
no,
but will have been released.
No, this is only ones that have been released so far. Like before the end of the year.
Yeah,
to the end of the year.
Okay. I was pretty close actually. Yeah. Please, that's interesting.
It's good, isn't it?
Interesting. Yeah.
Pleased with that.
You had this one, didn't you?
Yes.
Oh, it smells gorgeous. It smells so peachy. I love it. This beer is so clear.
I don't even need to review this. It is raspberry juice, and it is beautiful.
To be fair, I think I covered it when I had it, and it was just like, it's good. Tick.
It's really sessionable. Just raspberry wheat beer. Delicious.
This is so peach forward. Yeah. In the smell and the taste. Just everything's peach. I know peach is quite delicate, and it can lead. It can either disappear or it can lead towards being artificial.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case with this one. I think it is it's nice, and it's noticeable enough that it's not like a one note beer that you're like, oh, okay, it's, they say it's I feel like there's sometimes where you get, oh, it's a peach pale ale, and you go, okay, I get a little bit of the peach, but it's basically just a pale ale, isn't it?
And it's more kind of stone fruity, air quotes, than actual peach.
Yeah, no, this is like definitely peach, and it's noticeable peach. It's not just a one note, like, yeah, it's a pale ale. That's a decent pale ale. It is very peachy. It's quite nice. This is done in the collaboration. No, it's done to support Black Girls Camping Trip, which I thought was, I know that you had mentioned that when you had when you were talking about it, and I thought that was really good as well. So
that's good.
It's a really nice beer. Do you have any other fun facts? What other fun facts
so
about our year in review?
as well as the breweries that we have interviewed, we have been on the road this year. We went to Bigfoot Festival and we did a podcast on site while we were there.
We did.
We were very lucky to be commissioned by Women on Tap, and we were able to showcase the voices of the women from Women's Pint Club about how they got through the lockdown period the year before, and how the beer community helped them do that in a positive way. From our Women on Tap piece, we also had other great conversations with Charlotte and Louise, who came with us to chat about that as well. And so we had another episode that had those conversations in it, because I think it's just really important that we're women in beer. I think we can now officially say we are women in beer now.
I'll never I don't think I'll ever feel
you beer adjacent.
Yeah, I'm beer adjacent. I'm a woman adjacent to beer.
Woman adjacent to beer. No, we are, with the podcast, we're able to amplify those voices, put those viewpoints across. So it was really, really good to have an opportunity to do that twice. We've also had our first collaboration brew this year with Heist. Super lucky and happy to have done that with Heist. Thank you so much for having us. That was amazing. And also we got to interview Damien from Emperors and that Andy was from Elusive. That was an amazing time.
Honestly, to be fair, looking back at it, I think I speak for both of us, but I definitely speak on my own part when I say, like, I do feel like I've ticked off boxes that I almost didn't think I'd ever be able to tick off, and I've done it all in a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've been like, cool, we've done, we've done the beer mile like numerous times now.
Yeah.
We've gone to the festival, like, we've done the festivals. I've worked at a festival, multiple festivals.
I've specifically gone to a festival to interview somebody.
Yeah, you have. Yeah. You've
gone interviewed Pip at Covent Brewsters at Leeds,
and that was a really, really good interview as well. But I mean, I've worked multiple festivals for 2 different breweries now, and it's stuff that I thought would be cool to do, but I had never envisioned some of it being like the collaboration brew we did with Heist. Like, never imagined. I was like, that would be so cool to be able to do that. And I've seen other people collaborate, but it's always people that are more dedicating their life to beer, if you know what I mean. It might be somebody that has a podcast, but that's their main job, and they work in other areas of the beer industry, or they do writing for the beer industry. It's like some other job that doesn't necessarily mean they're directly a brewery, but I never saw myself being that person that would be able to do that collaboration. So the fact that we were able to do that is like something that I was like, I didn't think I'd be able to do that maybe ever. And I've also done that in the same year that I've been able to go to all the festivals and do all the things, and it just feels like, I don't know, it just feels like a really cool experience. It genuinely motivates me for 2022, which we'll get into 2022 after, but it motivates me to just be like, okay, cool. If I can accomplish all those things, what else can I accomplish? I think like another thing that seems really underrated, like probably doesn't seem like it's a big deal. And I don't like the phrase influencer, so that's not a phrase that I'll use, but the fact that I've like posted things and people have read it and then gone, oh, I'm interested now because I've seen that, or like,
and we've definitely put out podcast episodes where people have gone, oh yeah, I was listening to your podcast episode, so I then went and bought that beer.
Yeah, we've had people say
like,
that,
yeah.
and that's something like I don't want to say, like that's not, again, I still ban the word influencer for me because that's not me, and I never saw myself as being that person. But the fact that I can write a blog post, we can do a podcast, and somebody listens to it and is like, I really like what you guys said, or how you said that, and it sounded really interesting to me, so I went out and I bought it, and I didn't either know about them before or realize that beer was out or know that was something you could get in beer. And I think like that is really, really cool in itself. And then for me, I think another really big thing that I feel I accomplished was I started a conversation back in March, I think, about women's sized shirts. I say that as I'm wearing a man's unisex like shirt, whatever. But I was just thinking out loud on my personal Facebook page about how much I wanted to see like more female sized shirts, because women naturally have different curves than men, and I don't like that the sleeves come down to my elbows even when I get a size small in men's shirts, and everyone's a different shape and size, but everyone wants to feel comfortable and confident. And I just felt like for the most part, while I didn't mind wearing unisex shirts and I had no issue with it, they're comfortable, happy days, but if I was going on like a night out, I might want to like rep a brewery, but I want to look cute and I want to feel cute, and I don't always feel cute wearing a unisex or a man's shirt. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being like, you know, female identifying and being like, I want to look cute when I go out, but I also want to wear brewery merch. So I sort of like started that conversation, and I caveat it, completely understand why more breweries don't do that, because I understand the financial investment. I understand that it doesn't always pay off. I understand that it's very risky with women's clothing because there are so many cuts and shapes and sizes, and it's very difficult compared to like a man's or unisex top where it's literally like short sleeve. You get a short sleeve, you get a raglan style. Like there's not too many different options there. So completely understand why it doesn't happen, but I was just like, I'd really quite like to see it more. And Mike from Wild Weather commented on it, and he was like, when basically, thank you for drawing this to our attention. We had only really catered for, and he said this, not me, he said, you know, beer body, like big men's beer bodies. He's like, that's what we thought about. You know, we never really thought about the other side of things. And then they went out and they actually genuinely ordered, you know, he said, we're going to make a conscious effort to order more women's tops. And I was like, that's really great. Like the sentiment alone meant a lot to me. The fact that he was participating in this conversation, a few people participated in the conversation that are within beer. And the fact that there was a conversation happening meant a lot to me. And I felt like that was a really, really good conversation to have for both sides, to sort of explain both sides of things. But then I thought, it's not, you know, probably won't happen, or who knows, when he gets around to ordering shirts, it just might not be available, might not be feasible, whatever. And then, like pretty much immediately after that, I was getting some questions through, and then, they had ordered women's shirts, and it is now my favorite top. And I think for me, the long-winded thing of what I'm saying is, for me, it was quite the fact that I was able to have this conversation and impact change. Is really difficult for me to say this because I'm not a person that thinks that I'm capable of doing that. So I'm like, my instinct is to pull back, but my instinct is to pull back and to go, yeah, you know, it wasn't like really me, but
it was
really
you wrote the blog post, you did the research, and you helped that change to happen.
And it's something that I was just like, it still blows my mind that I was able to impact change on that level. Like even just being one brewery, like I had a few different people involved and engaged and interested in the conversation, and one person that actually was like, I have the power to change this, and did. And for me, I was like, that is the fact that I managed to do that as a person that sees myself beer adjacent. Like for me, that felt like a really big accomplishment. So yeah, that meant quite a lot. I think that was probably one of the most important things that I feel happened in 2021 for me. It was brewing the beer with Heist. And yeah, there was a few other things, but I think those two things were the two things that I felt like that can't happen to me. My position isn't one that can do that. And then I did it. So I think it's quite inspiring. I hope other people take that as inspiration as well, that like, if you want to do something and you really work and you really try, I mean, I'm not going to say that all you have to do is try hard and it happens, because it doesn't. Sometimes it just doesn't. But I do think to some degree, if you really want something to happen and you really put the effort in, you can do your very best to try to make it happen. And I hope that, you know, our 2021 and everything we've managed to accomplish in our post-COVID, it's not really post-COVID, we're still in COVID, we're still in it. But you know, in that time period, I feel like I'm really proud of us, and I think we've really managed to achieve a lot.
Yeah, I think we've made things happen. Not
to be serious, like emotional. I'm like, oh, let me just make an emotional diatribe right now. Like
my little beer business is still going, teaching people about beer.
And I think that's brilliant. You've got Beer Tent. I'm part of Beer Tent. You've had more people sign up to Beer Tent.
I've had more people sign up to Beer Tent. We've had several rounds of Build Your Beer Vocabulary where I've taught people about beer vocabulary. I was asked to come and host a beer tasting at a beer festival.
How amazing is that?
I've written beer notes for 2 breweries. So, you know, that's fun.
And not only that, the beer festival that you got to go and talk about beer tasting and stuff, it's not even just like, it wasn't a small festival where it's like you got to drink like Northern Monk.
Yeah, I was Northern
Monk.
Out
a room.
Yeah, and their kind of lead educator was there, and he was like, yep, that's everything I would have said. It was interesting hearing what you got to say, because now I've got things that I can think about as well to add into what we say. So that was fun.
And you got heckled. Someone heckled you.
Yeah, someone heckled me.
That's how you know you've made it. That's how you know you've made it, when you have a heckler.
Yeah, so that was good. And it was like we packed.
I think that's like a seal of approval. It's like someone heckled you. He probably felt intimidated, and he's like, "I need to heckle."
Yeah, he definitely didn't know what he was talking about when it came to beer. So
you got heckled.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a pretty good year, all in all.
And we've been able to meet up like so many more times, and like go and do lots of really fun stuff, like go and do the beer mile and go to Sheffield, and I think talk about the stuff for 2022 that we want to do for sure. But I feel like this was such a good, the fact that we were able to do as much as we did together in 2021.
I mean, highlight, we actually met in person for the first time.
I know,
Everyone always forgets that.
I keep forgetting that was this year. I thought I keep forgetting that it was this year, and
it was like May. Year. It wasn't even like the beginning of the year.
It was, I think, when lockdown stuff first eased at the very beginning of this year, because that's where I was like, I can officially leave the county. Yeah. We feel safe enough. We were both testing all the time. I can come see you just for like a few hours, and I'll drive back home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget that was only the beginning of this year. Time has absolutely flown. Like, where has it gone? It feels so long, but also so short.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're going to be sort of talking about what our future thinking is for 2022, stuff we want to do, personal goals, podcast goals, all kinds of stuff that we're looking forward to, or I don't know, anything really. But before we do, Jo, what beer did you pick to represent your 2022, and why?
So, I have picked Sangfroy, which is from Neptune Brewery, but they brewed it with the Glow Collective, which is the Global Ladies of Wort, and it's about much like Brave Noise, and International Women's Collaboration Brew Day, it's about dispelling bias in the beer industry. And this is a small IPA. So I chose this one because it looks really cool.
It does look really cool.
Those that are not watching the video, it's like in a neon rainbow can. It looks really cool. Neptune are cool. I love that brewery. But also, like, I hope that in 2022 we can do more collaboration. We can move forward in including everybody in the beer industry, not just women, but also people of color, the LGBTQ community. Like, everybody should be able to enjoy the beer community, enjoy the beer industry without bias or hate or anything like that.
Yeah, everyone should be able to feel safe and comfortable. It should be a place you should be able to go into any drinking establishment. You should be able to go into anywhere really, but where we're focused on beers, you know, you should be able to go into any drinking establishment and feel like you are just as welcome and wanted to be there as anybody.
In fact, totally I went to a bottle share recently. I was the only lady present. It's not a massive surprise. However, I felt really welcomed. Like, my opinion was listened to just the same as everybody else's. Literally just came in, shared the beer that I brought with me, and it was a lovely evening. I enjoyed myself immensely. We're thinking about doing it more regularly. I will be going back.
That's brilliant. And then hopefully by you doing that and posting about it as well, there might be some other sort of like female identified people or anybody that would normally not feel comfortable going into that male dominated atmosphere, and they might be able to feel like, oh, actually, if that person feels comfortable enough to continue to go back, well, maybe I should give it a go. And then they can feel that welcome. And then, you know, the more people that do that, the more people that join in, the more you're going to see that diversity. Like, you have to create that space that you want other people to join in on. You have to create that space first and foremost, show that it's a comfortable space, and then they'll be more likely to want to come and join that space with you. And that's how you get that diversity and that comfort level. So yeah, no, that was a really good that was a good one. I mean, mine was not mine wasn't that exciting. So I've done the Urban Not Beer blenders. Kind of was like 2 beers in one, isn't it? So
it is, yeah.
I've got the salted caramel IPA and the baked pear sour, mainly because it's not a dark beer, but it feels appropriate for the end of the year. And I don't know if that's because it's like the baked pear sour and salted caramel like coming together. Also, I get to try 2 beers individually and then together.
And you can mix them. Not to date this episode, but this came out on my beer advent calendar today, so bonus.
Oh, this could be any day up until the 24th. We don't know. Anytime. But yeah, I think this one for me represents just like beers abroad and more interesting things. So like, I hope that in 2022 we get to travel around, have more beer adventures, especially abroad, like outside the UK. I would love to, you know, even if you're like, no, I don't want to. For me, I would just like to go to breweries outside the UK as well, more of them, and not counting the US, because that's like an easy win for me. Like, I can go to Massachusetts breweries. That's, you know, not a challenge, but I'd like to go to more, you know, European breweries, or just travel further afield outside of the UK. And I think with this, where it's a beer blender, it's more of an interesting thing. It's a unique, interesting experience. So I'm keen to try more weird and wonderful, interesting beers and ways to drink beers that are further afield from just the UK in itself. So that's why I picked this one, and it just sounds amazing. So I've been holding on to it. I've been holding on to it. This is the one that inspired us to do the beer blenders. But at the time, you could only get one. And I remember when they went back on sale and they had that for sale, and I was like, I've got one. And then we ordered a whole bunch of other ones as well. So I mean, the label artwork, if you're watching the video,
the labels of the
are always so cool,
gorgeous.
And I love that they're the 2 mushed together, the little stubby cans mushed together, and then you pull this tab and separate them. And I know that we already discussed in a way long ago episode now the difficulties in getting them in the country and everything else because of that. But I just think it's just cool. I want to do more cool beer experiences. I mean, I think the colors on it are really pretty as well. It's like a light blue faded into a purple, like a greeny blue faded into a purple. And yeah, I really like it. So that was my choice.
I like it.
Which one are you
gonna crack open first?
You started with like the big emotional one of like, I want it to be inclusive, and then I was like, I just want to travel because I'm selfish. It makes me feel a lot worse now. I'm gonna start with the salted caramel.
Mine's got a very, very big head on it. If you're not watching the video, it's lightly hazed, lots of little bubbles. It's straw coloured, very hoppy.
Ooh. The salted caramel IPA, so yeah, it's got that like ambery orange colour to it, and it smells. The head on it was fine. It's still there a bit. There's some nice lacing on there, and then it does smell caramelly. It smells like a burnt biscuit. It smells like that biscuity element to it. Yeah, like salted caramel. It's the maltiness to that. Oh my god, it tastes really like salted caramel. I know I said it smelt like it, but I wasn't expecting that to fall because it's an IPA. I wasn't expecting it to capture the salted caramel element to the level it did. It really genuinely tastes like a salted caramel, like some type of toffee.
Wait till you blend it with the pear.
Oh, let's try. Hold on, let me have another sip of this, then I'll have a sip of the pear.
So this is a small IPA. It has got Equinox, Simcoe, and Laurel Cryo hops in it. Definitely getting that. I'm getting the Laurel a lot. I quite like Laurel. Maybe a little bit of Equinox, because Equinox gives me like green pepper. And I can smell a little bit of that in the back. But on taste, it's quite melony, which I quite like. Melon, citrus. It's very light and easy drinking, obviously, because it is a small IPA coming in at 3%. I like it. It's sessionable.
I'm a bit concerned about the sour, to be honest, because I think it's probably, like I said, it's probably slightly past its BBE. I don't really get pear. I get more of like a pickly type smell to it, but I think it's because obviously with the sour it must be more acidic, and it's difficult with pear. I think pear is a very delicate smell to have, so to have it in something that is more sharp and acidic, it might just be that's how it's landed in the smell. Because I wouldn't say it is pickled, but it has that pickled smell to it. Yeah. Let's see, I'm gonna have a sip. Oh, I'm nervous. Oh my god, no, it's really pear-like, but it is still sharp, which you don't normally get. It's like somebody took pear juice and just somehow, it's not as acidic as you think at all, but it's like it's a sharp version of pear juice. All right, I'm gonna mix them together. How much do you think? Like, did you do a 50-50?
I think I added a little bit of caramel at a time to the pear.
I'm gonna try that then.
Until I was happy with it. It's been a while since I drank this one. I just remember that it was good.
Oh my god, it's so many interesting flavors coming together. Oh, it's really interesting. Anyone that's listening to this is like, this is the most boring thing to listen to, is me swirling and mixing things and going, oh, that's interesting. I'm aware. I know that's not the most interesting thing, but I don't have words, because it is just really, like, really wow, I didn't expect that. I expected it to be a bit more like, you get the flavors, but maybe a bit more dulled down.
Yeah. But no. If you've not had Herb Nort beer blender, go check out New Zealand Beer Collective, see if they've got some, because they are amazing.
This is amazing. And they are fun, and you get to play with it a bit, because you can like Joseph, you can have it on its own, and then you slowly mix them together and just see how the taste evolves. And it's a unique thing to do. I think.
love that. I just love the concept. I would like other breweries to do it, please.
Yeah. I love beer blenders. Like, I think anytime I get the beer, we did the whole beer blending episode because of how much I love beer blenders. So yeah. Okay, we've done this now. I'm going to keep sipping on this because this is good. I've given my thoughts of, oh wow, that's amazing. And people like, okay, talk about something other than how amazing this thing I can't have is. Plans for 2022. So do you have any proper like goals that you've set for yourself that you want to hold yourself accountable for?
I want to build Love Beer Learning more. Just before Christmas, I had this harebrained idea of starting to sell beer printables. So Love Beer Learning now has an Etsy shop, and I've got thoughts on what I want to develop that to be. Like when I say beer printables, you're like, what are you talking about, woman? Right, so a beer printable, like beer tasting note sheets in various different sizes so that you can keep your notes on something. Beer tasting party kits where you get the printable bits for that, like a flight board and a tasting guide and a note sheet, so that you can set up your own beer tasting party with a guide written by me, a certified beer server and owner of a beer school, telling you how to taste beer, what things you need to think about to set up your party. Those are currently available. If you're looking for something to do for New Year's, go grab yourself a beer tasting party kit.
It's printable, so you
can just print it. You don't like you can leave it right up to the last minute, instant download, print out as many as you need, go for it. You can even do it virtually if we are in a situation where you can't get together with people. Once you've downloaded it, you can email it to your friends, set up a Zoom link, work out what beers you want to get or what beers you've both got, do it that way. And then in the future, I'm thinking journal, like a beer journal page set over time, add up different journal pages, like not just your notes, maybe different styles of taking notes, your favorite, like a list of your favorite hops, your favorite breweries, list of hop flavors, malt flavors, like maybe flavor wheels and things like that in there, vocabulary lists that you can add to it to help with your beer education, and then expanding the party scene and looking at setting up your beer and cheese party, setting up a beer and chocolate pairing party, things like that. I'm excited about that, if you can't tell. But my beer printables empire is fledgling, but I'd like to build on that next year.
Your beer printables empire. I love that.
Email me at lovebeerlearning@gmail.com and tell me what beer printables you want to see.
I've seen your flightboard ones, and I think like the flightboard ones are quite cool because, like, if you're in my house, there's two of us. I can get a few cans together, and I've got like enough tasting glasses that I can virtually like build us a flightboard with, 4 cans can make 2 flightboards.
You mean this?
Yes, I
happen to have one to hand. It's got 4 spots on it that you can stand a tasting glass on. Fits perfectly. If you're watching the video, and then it's numbered and it's got spaces for you to put the beer name, the brewery, the beer style, and the ABV on. And you can just print as many of those as you like. You could laminate them and use them over and over again.
That's quite smart, actually, laminating and then getting like a pen and.
You can get a wipeable pen then, whiteboard pen, wipe it on, wipe it off again for later.
It's quite smart and environmentally friendly.
Friendly.
That's a good one.
Maybe we'll have that as a separate buy then.
Separate buy, a pre-laminated. But yeah, no, I think that's like, I think that one is brilliant because I don't think I've seen anybody like set something like that up. Like, you can make one for yourself, but it never looks as nice as when somebody's properly done and set up. Like you've got it set up really nice and spaced out really nice.
Well, thank you.
I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but I don't think I'm biased. I think like genuinely, like you do have some good products and stuff like that. I mean, I've joined your beer tent. I pay to go to beer tent.
You do. You pay to come and listen to I
pay to go to beer tent. It's not like, it's not like I'm being biased where I'm like, oh, she's let me into the beer tent. So it is definitely pay her every month. So it's like, I think it's good value for money. And I think, yeah, that's a good goal to have. What is that? Is it literally just that? Do you have anything else you want to accomplish?
I'd like more people to come and join Beer Tent if you'd like to learn. If you'd like to learn about beer styles.
This is
every
Joanne's private plug-in.
Yeah, we're just gonna plug Love Beer Learning. Why not? Beer Tent is the Beer Tent Society is my beer membership. Every month we look at a different beer style. You get to learn about the history and the style guidelines for it, and we do a guided tasting. You can ask me your questions about beer and I will answer them. Some of these beer printables might make their way into the Beer Tent if you are a member to get those. So £10 a month. Come and join us. We have a great time.
It is quite fun, to be fair. It's like a nice little conversation as well. And I like that I've been absolutely rubbish the last few months.
Yeah.
Don't sugarcoat
but it's okay.
My feelings,
because
Joanne.
If you're out, there's a replay and you can watch it back anytime.
This is the point that I was going for, was like, I'm in the US for when this next one's happening, and I'm definitely out and about on that day when this is going down. So it's not like I can even drink in the US along or anything like that. Got the beers for it. So it's like, well, I'll just come back and it'll be when I'm sad to be, I won't be sad to be back. When I'm sad to leave my family.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I've got a quarantine now for however many days at home. I'll just do some beer taste.
Just catch up on the beer taste.
I'll do
I'll
catch up on the beer taste. And for all the other months that I don't have an excuse for, other than I was out. I'm really sorry.
Right. And the thing is, if you join the Beer Tent now, all the previous trainings for a whole year are in there for you to go back and peruse at your leisure.
Which is pretty cool, I guess. Like if you live with somebody else as well that's also into beer, and you're not doing it by yourself either, watching the replay. Because what's really fun about doing it live is you can chat to other people. I imagine if you're watching it back by yourself, you might just be like, oh, I wish I had that interaction. But if you're with somebody else in the house with you and you're both watching it together, you can both have a chat together about it. So it makes the replay even better. But yeah. It's your personal plug-in. There's whole Joanne's what she wants to do for 2022. Plug Love Beer Learning.
Yes.
Convert the masses.
I will. Why not?
Beer Printables empire.
Come learn about beer with me.
I can vouch for that. Like I said,
beer educators cannot live on free content alone.
That is true. That is very true.
I'll pay the bills and buy all this beer. So very true. As well, we want to build the podcast. You can join the Patreon account. I don't
plug this. I never plug this one. I just let you do the play. I was like, oh, you don't have to though.
You'd like to support Love Beer Learning and A Woman's Brew the podcast? There is a £2 membership option to support us. Come join us now.
I feel like because I'm beer adjacent, I'm like, oh, I have no business. You're properly in beer. And I feel like because
sometimes
I'm beer,
I feel like I'm not, but
you definitely are. And I feel like because I'm beer adjacent, I'm like, I have no business asking anyone for anything.
You do, because you educate people as well. It's your expertise that you have that you're sharing with people.
I educate people the things they don't necessarily want to know about, but I let them know about it anyways. Preach the good word. Yeah, so I feel like I've got an extensive list of things I want to do in 2022. So firstly, I want to go, and this encompasses like me personally, but stuff I want to do for the podcast as well. I want to go on more beer adventures, like specifically. So I'm trying to set like really realistic goals, like stuff that I think that I could actually achieve. So I don't want to make it something like so ambitious that it becomes a mission to tackle it and then I don't do it and then I let myself down. So I've started off small and I've said like beer adventures. Well, I'd love to go back to like places like Sheffield and Nottingham and stuff like that. I want to go to some new places. At a minimum, I'd quite like to go to Liverpool and Newcastle. I don't think those two places in the span of 12 months is a particularly big, wild ask. So I'd quite like to do that. I'd quite like to go for beer adventures outside of the Bermondsey Beer Mile in London, because I feel like every time I go into London for beer, it's to Bermondsey.
Yeah. I feel like we need to go visit Solvay, Forfeit, and Werewolf Beer.
That's it. Is I specifically had like I wanted to go to Solvay for the beer and food pairing as well, and like that. Just I want to see Polly. I want to do the beer and food pairing. Like I think that would be really cool, really fun. Orbit, which you'll be hearing about soon. The tap room sounds so fun, very like my style. So gonna get my my death cab for QT records out or whatever, and I'm gonna go and make everyone cry for 20 straight minutes with my death cab, which would be great. So yeah, that's something I'd quite like to do. And yeah, werewolf beer as well. I have set myself that I'd like to go to at least 2 beer festivals. And again, I don't think 2 in the span of 12 months.
On which ones?
That's a good question. I don't think I didn't really limit myself to calling it out, but I would like to do Bigfoot again. Because I really genuinely did have a lot of fun at Bigfoot. There was so much good beer, so much good food, and like decent music as well. And there was so much to do. So I would quite like to do Bigfoot again. I think I'd like to go to Brew London. I'd be happy to go to Bristol again because it's quite a good scene down there. I've got friends in Bristol, so it's just a nice overall meetup. And then you can go to all the places. If you go the night before, you can go to all the places again as well. I didn't go to Beer Central, but I'd quite like to go to Beer Central or something further up the North Way. I think
Leeds was amazing.
Good. Yeah,
Nottingham also. I mean, amazing.
To be fair, I could have easily said a beer adventure in Leeds because I feel like that's an easy one as well. But yeah, no, I'm not particularly fussed. I've got a whole list of festivals I'd like to go to, but like I think was GenCraft that got cancelled this year. I'd quite like to go to GenCraft if that happens. That's over out your way.
Yep.
But yeah, at least 2 minimum, but as like a guest, even if it's like one day as a guest, like I'd still like to go as a paying person for a day where I'm not like working. But then equally, I would like to work at least one beer festival next year, separate to attending it. So yeah, my services are for hire. So
I think I'm not even at least one brewery, if not 2, that will when
I say for hire, it's like I just mean that I'll just give you my time for free. And I will quite happily go. It's fun for me. I like it. I did put that I want to visit at least one brewery abroad, and I specifically put in brackets that Boston doesn't count. Because again, that's easy. I want to challenge myself. I want to see more places and go more places, and that's not really a challenge. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm going to cut out some of them because I feel like I've set myself a lot of goals, so I'm going to take some of them out. And I will say that I'd like to brew another beer in 2022. And I want to aim to post at least one blog post per month on average for the year. So it doesn't matter if I do 12 in 1 month. I'd like to have a total of 12. So I have an average of one a month for a year.
Brilliant. I think that's a very good goal.
And I'll end it on, I would like to be able to continue doing the podcast for another year, including doing interviews and all that kind of stuff. Because
I think that's a given.
It's fun. So yeah, I mean, that was like the easy one. Like you have to set yourself an easy one. You're like, I can hit that one. That's good. But yeah, that's all my goals. I feel like I was like, hang on, like when you have a scroll that like a king does a scroll, it just like rolls out. I'm like, let me go through my
goals. I would like to visit some other places. I'd like to visit maybe York, Liverpool. I'd like to do Leeds properly because I only really did the festival. It's on the list, but I don't think I'll get to it next year, but you never know. I'd like to go to Bamberg.
Oh yeah.
And do, smoked beer in Bamberg.
That'd be amazing.
Yep. I'd definitely like to brew another beer with someone. If you're a brewery and you'd like to brew with us, let us know. We will clean out the mash tun for you.
We won't even insist it be pumpkin, I promise.
No, we won't.
We'll be best behavior, please.
We'll do whatever you want to do. You can choose, and we'll just clean out.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun, isn't it? It's just a fun experience. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, that's our goal set, I think.
Yeah.
That leaves us with the one last part, which is going to be the 10 out of the 10 we picked last year to try and buy more of. What have we ticked off? And what are our new 10 for this year? So we're going to go get another beer and we'll come back with a final part.
Sorry. To our beer review.
Yes. What did we actually manage to tick off our list and what didn't we? And what we're going to have to accompany this. I know it's not craft. I know everyone's gonna have
don't at us.
Don't at me.
And we thought it was interesting.
Yeah, don't at me because I know that it's not. I know it's a macro brewery, but I actually enjoy drinking Camden.
To be fair, in the words of James Blunt, one of the most exciting breweries in London. Spoiler if you haven't seen Beer Masters.
I mean, but to be fair, so this one I saw at Waitrose because I was being very posh. Thank you very much. Yeah, I was being a bougie bitch, and I saw Camden Beer 2021 barrel aged Imperial Pilsner, and I was like, that actually sounds quite interesting. 500 mils.
Like the bottle's interesting too.
Imperial Pilsner, and I thought,
I got it reduced.
You got it on reduced price. You had like a £2 discount on it.
Thank you.
And like I said, I understand that it's not. I appreciate it's macro, it's not craft, whatever else. But it was like the fact it felt thematic. It was 2021. And I don't actually think I've ever seen a barrel-aged Imperial Pilsner before. And that's not to say that it hasn't happened. It's just I've not personally seen it myself. I don't think I've drank one myself, at least knowingly. So it seemed like the really great way to finish off an episode recapping. It just looks
really festive.
It
like
does
the
a bit,
bottle.
Well, there's like fireworks all over it.
Yeah.
And I admittedly, like, I really don't. Well, Camden's not necessarily my go-to. If I'm in a pub and there's a choice between a few different things, Camden is actually the one I go for. I don't think Camden's that bad. I quite like in summer they do strawberry hells forever, and I really like their strawberry hells.
Yeah, it's not really bad.
Good. I find it's just it's a cheap fridge filler that you can get for when people are coming over, and it's actually quite good for mass production, I personally think. So I don't feel too bad about it, and I've got a Camden glass that when I got my strawberry hells pack when I had company around earlier this year, it was like you could get this 4-pack of strawberry hells forever and get a free glass that says beer on it. So I was like, I'm gonna go with that, so I'm gonna drink it out of that glass, crack it open, and then we'll get into.
So this might be quite a festive one to have for your New Year celebration. Might well be reduced. Go to Waitrose, see if you can get it.
Go get your inner bougie bitch on.
Right.
Go to Waitrose.
And then look at the good Belgian beers that they've got.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like Waitrose's selection was so good, but I was so out of it. I went there to try to get a nice present for somebody. It's not like I don't just go into Waitrose on the regs. And then I saw this when I was looking for a different beer for something Jo and I were doing. Saw this one and was like, oh, I think I'll get this one then. It almost smells a bit fruity.
So it does say that it's been aged for 6 months in a mix of apricot brandy, almanac, and sweet white wine barrels.
Huel melon.
Yeah, and there's Huel melon in it. Yeah,
that's it. That smell is Huel melon.
I'm getting the oaky barrel. I'm getting apricot. I'm getting the melon.
I'm getting I want to say a touch white wine, but I don't think it's necessarily white wine specific, but it's that it's the vinous so it's the vinous quality, but I would agree that it's white wine because it's not as I feel like red wine can be quite pungent and like dark fruits, whereas it's like a lighter vinous aroma.
And it's that barrel as well, like the oaky, slightly vanilla-y, gives you white wine vibes sometimes.
Yeah, I think it does have sort of like a light woody element to it.
Right, I'm tasting
it's quite, to be fair, it's quite complex like in aroma for anything I've had from any other sort of macro brewery. It tastes like coconut.
It does. That's the wood. No, that'll come from the wood. It's chemicals that come out of the wood. It's a shame because the aroma does not carry through into the taste.
No, I'm a bit disappointed actually
because it smells so complex. And you're like, oh, this is going to be really good, and then you're like, oh,
but it's not for me. It's not crisp enough. I want it to be crisper.
It's because of the barrel aging.
Yeah, but
got that in the linger.
But that's like,
tastes like coconut.
I think for me, if someone's like a Pilsner, I'm like, oh, it will be this nice like crispy boy.
Yeah, no, it's not.
And it's not a crispy boy at all.
No.
It's a bit sad.
I mean, it's all right.
It's not bad, but it's not matching what in my head. So I had an idea of what I was expecting in my head.
Yeah.
Which I kind of to some element didn't know what to expect because I was like, I don't think I've ever had a barrel aged Pilsner full stop. and how that barrel aging might impact it, like you said. But then also the smell then gave me a totally different expectation than what I already had in my head. And the taste has led to neither of those things.
I don't know if the complexity will come through as it warms up. Technically, a Pilsner, you want to drink quite chilled anyway. But maybe the complexity of this will come through as it warms up.
I think without that carbonation, it ends up landing a bit flat for me. It tastes a little bit flat. And I think because there's the fruitiness as well, the fruitiness with the lack of crisp in there lands in a way that is very flat.
Yeah. It's not even very highly carbonated either, is it? It's like quite softly carbonated.
Well, it is boozy.
Like I want a bit more. Yeah. I want a bit more of a kick.
But it is coconut. I was not expecting coconut, man.
That's from the barrels.
That's a weird thing, isn't that?
Maybe can we just take a minute celebration?
Can we just take a minute to appreciate like how weird that is?
Yeah.
There's like, oh yeah, you just get coconut from barrels. Like,
so in coming from the wood, it's something called lactones, and they provide floral aromas and flavors, and sometimes coconut.
I mean, this is full on coconut.
Vanilla comes from phenolic aldehydes, and simple sugars come out, and that gives you caramel.
I thought you said formaldehydes.
Phenolic aldehydes.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's grim. So I don't want to drink that.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. So it says like apricot brandy. So 6 months in a mix of apricot brandy. Oh, I can't say that word, so I'm not going to say it.
Almanac.
And sweet white wine barrels. And I do kind of understand like the booziness that's coming off of it is definitely a white wine like some element of it is like a white wine type booziness, and some of it is definitely like a brandy booziness. I don't know if that makes sense, because I know that they're two very different things, but I do get kind of both of those. But yeah, I'm a bit I hope my 2021 New Year isn't like, I hope this isn't representative.
Fancy trying it. Wait, check that it's unreduced.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, Camden, because I'm not trying to piss in your Cheerios or anything like that, Camden. But I think it was like,
I mean, I feel like this is karma for us buying Camden.
Here's karma for us buying Camden for a craft beer podcast. We did this to us.
It's what we get.
Did this to us.
We did this to ourselves.
I'll stand by.
We've got to pay the consequences. Now we've got to pay the price and live with the consequences.
I still like strawberry hells forever, but
anyway,
will I get this again? Probably not.
Breweries. Let's move on to more interesting breweries.
Right.
Did you manage to try all of the breweries that you wanted to this year, Tori?
I did not. I ticked off 1, 2. So I did 10. So it was 10 last year.
Yeah.
And I ticked off 8 out of the 10. To buy/try. Now I picked ones that were all ones that I had never had before, wanted to buy. So even if I hadn't physically tried it yet, I had purchased the can, and I considered it ticked off once I purchased it, because obviously it was something that I would be trying in the future. But there's two that I haven't. There's rules that I set for myself to this kind of thing. The two that, so basically, I'll just run through quickly. Mm-hmm. I've got Pentrich, which I've done, Crafty Cats, which I've done, Trinity, which I have not done. And I'm gutted because I really, really wanted to try them. But every time I went to go put orders in, it was like if I was ordering from a bottle shop, like they didn't have their stuff. And I could order direct. But it was just, I was trying to be really good about my ordering after a certain point in the year, because I was spending a lot of money on beer. So I just haven't got there yet. But Cantillon, I managed to get not only 1, but 2 different Cantillons this year. St. Mars the Desert, I did manage to have like 2 or 3 St. Mars, which is good. Good Things, I got. Overtone, I got. Equilibrium, I even got. And I think I even had 2 different Equilibriums. Proud Beer, I did not manage to get. Now that one's difficult because you have to buy that in larger packs, and no bottle shop seem to sell it. So my problem is that like Proud Beer only kind of makes 1 or 2 different beers, and I want to buy from them because I want to support the LGBTQ brewery, basically.
Yep.
But I don't need 12 of the same beer because I have so much beer that it's just, that would be an overload. That's why I've not managed to get it. So if anybody is buying it and will let me buy one off them, or they want to do a group order, happy to do it. I just don't need 12 bottles of one thing. But the last one I've got is Dingbat beer, which I have managed to get. So yeah, it's just Trinity and Proud that I didn't manage to do. So what about you? What's
good,
your...
Karen. So I had 10 when we did our episode on that. And then I did another 10 in the middle of the year as well. So my first
Ambitious.
10, Braybrook. Drunk a lot of Braybrook this year. Very pleased with that. Dig. I've had a couple of digs, so we can take that one off. Donzoko. I've had a few Donzoko, so that was good. Brew by Numbers. Definitely have drunk more of theirs this year. Haven't been made biased by the can art.
Really good stuff.
Yonder. I've had Yonder. Play Brewco. I've had a couple of theirs. I've managed to get the drumstick beer. Managed to have that. It was good. I picked that up while I was in Nottingham.
I still want the profiteroles.
I still want the profiterole one. Pomona Island. I've had some of Pomona. Finally. I've had a few more Hamilton.
What do you mean? Hang on, can we scroll back? When you say finally, what do you mean by finally?
Well, because I've never really had Pomona because they tend to do hoppy beers.
Kel Surprise. I feel like Pomona is one of those like year-round hotnesses. No, I've had like so many Pomonas because they do like really good sours as well. And
I've had Christmas, some of this. They do. That's where I've had some of the sours. So
yeah. Oh, that's just, I don't know. That surprised me when you said I finally got around.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I didn't get a lot of this because most of the ones that I see they're hoppy beers, and I'm not that into it.
That's fair.
Yeah. Hamilton. I've had a few more Hamilton this year because before I'd only really had Crunch. I've had more Fierce. I've had a lot of Fierce.
This makes really
Fierce
good beers.
Great. Fierce make really good beers.
They do.
I've also had Gordon bought me for Christmas last year their Fierce by Nature sour range. Drunk all of those. They were good. Nice. Yeah. Ones I didn't get hold of were kind of Scottish breweries that I can't get hold of all the way down here. I wanted to try Acid Brewing Cartel, Wasted Degrees, and Chromaty, and I didn't get any of those. And then I set myself some more. In the middle of the year.
I like the ambition of like there was 3 I didn't get. I'm setting more,
but it's fine because I felt like they were just not going to happen, so it's fine.
That's fair.
I then wanted to try Pillars. I've bought some Pillars. I haven't drunk it yet.
Let's do it. You bought it. It counts.
Yeah, so we're getting there. Echo had a whole bunch of Echo, and I've got more Echo. Love Echo. They're one of my faves. Big tick off for them. I wanted to try Docker, who are local to us. I've had theirs. You've had some of theirs as well.
I've had some of theirs.
Yeah.
I ticked off someone I didn't even know I wanted to try until I tried it.
Yep. I wanted to try Loki. I've managed to get a plethora of Loki bottles. Very pleased with that.
I'm more annoyed because I was like, I don't know, like I don't like barley wines. I don't need it. And then they like give it the best names and the best artwork, and I was like, fine, all right, I'll get it. And then they're like, yeah, we're gonna just make like peanut butter and jelly, and I was like, fucking take my money. This is so not fair. So
I wanted to drink Neptune. Hello. Neptune on today. I put an order in direct with Neptune, just bought loads of Neptune. So I've had plenty of Neptune. Flock, who are local to me. I've bought one of theirs. I still haven't drunk it.
Is that the Daya collab?
Yeah, I've still got that one. I haven't drunk it. Have you drunk it yet?
I have not.
You haven't. I
do as well.
They are opening a tap room in Canterbury very soon. So you're gonna have to come visit and we'll go there. And you'll like their beers and I'll be like, it's okay. Because it's
you'll be like, it's fine.
It's hoppy. Tartarus. I have had a Tartarus. I've got more Tartarus in the fridge and I would like to get more.
They are next level.
Yeah, they're so good. I wanted to try more Anspach and Hob Day. I've got my Anspach and Hob Day t-shirt on. I've drank a lot of Anspach and Hob Day. I cannot exalt their beers enough because they do brilliant traditional styles as well as interesting ones. I want to drink more Abbeydale. Now, I think I have drunk more Abbeydale because we had it while we were up in Sheffield.
You did, yeah.
But I would like to drink more of their Funk Dungeon stuff because I think that's the really interesting things.
The Funk Dungeons are. I have. We got the peach and pumpkin. Was it a saison or a sour?
Saison.
Have you
had
it? No, I haven't. Because I've been saving it for the right moment because I'm like, it's just weird and wonderful enough that I don't want to just have it.
My beer advent calendar.
Of course, it is. I've got it in the fridge. Like ready to be plucked out. It's right at the front of the fridge, ready to be plucked out and tried. But I was like, it never felt like the right time to appreciate it.
I'm not going to talk about it because I think you need to experience it.
Yeah, I don't want any bias.
No.
It's actually all right when it's warming up. It's just not crisp.
I told you it'd be better when it warmed up, which is not correct for a Pilsner. I then wanted to try more double barreled. I have tried more double barreled because
they're sours.
Despite having had a lot of Reading beers because you get them for me, I've not had a lot of double barreled. I wanted to try more Liquid Light. I have been to Liquid Light and drunk a lot of Liquid Light, and here we are again. Absolutely love them. Buy Liquid Light, everybody. And I wanted to try good things. Now, we did have a good things on our saisons episode.
We did, yeah.
But unfortunately, obviously, they're trying to rebuild their brewery, so I haven't been able to have any more.
No. But you did have the one.
I did have the one, so that's okay. I've put money. I donated to the cause as well. So
yeah, we both donated to the cause because we want to see them back up and running. So,
what breweries do you want to try next year?
So to start with a 10 again, I have carried over. So obviously I still have like a little bit of time to try to get Trinity and Proud beer, but the reality is where I'm leaving in a few days to exit the country for a few weeks, it's probably not going to happen. So what I've done is I've carried over Trinity and Proud because I don't want to be a cheater. I've added them on the list. I feel like I'll keep cycling them through until I tick them off. Trinity will be easy. Proud probably not. So those are my first two. I've given myself challenges for some of them, but realistic challenges, again, like with the goals. So I've given myself Mills Brewing. I haven't had any Mills, and I feel like that is something that realistically I could get hands on. I could have. I've put the brewery, again, realistically, I probably could get it. It is on the more expensive side because of what it is, where they're from, everything, the import on it. I've put STF, which is Simple Things Fermentation. Really hope to try some of them, which I only found out about really when we did the podcast with
Beer Snack Club,
yeah. And that was sort of when I found out about who they were, and then I looked and I was like, they've got some really interesting stuff. So
they've got a wheat wine.
Yeah, sounds really interesting. I've got
on the Christmas list.
I've got a Pockle Brew, which I feel like that's kind of cheating because I know that I've already ticked that one off because I placed the order, you placed the order on behalf of both of us. So kind of tick that, but it's not in my general area. It's not in the vicinity.
So that abides by your rules, does it?
So yeah, it counts. There's rules for everything. I put Blender just because I've seen Blender like quite a lot being posted. I know it's one of the top breweries on Untapped, but I've never actually tried any of their stuff myself. There might have been something I've had that's been a collaboration, but I've never actually bought direct from them. So I'd quite like to see what just they do. I'd like to know more about them, full stop. Glass House was one that I was like, it was my batch of ones. If I completed all 10 would be on the next batch. Never got around to completing all 10. So I'm pulling that forward. It's coming on this list. Again, kind of cheating. I put Little Pomona, that's cider, but I hear so many amazing things about Little Pomona that I really want to try them. And then the last one I've got is Little Earth Project.
Oh, have you never had Little Earth Project?
No.
Never?
No.
They're really good.
No, but I see them a lot. I see them posted about a lot and their stuff looks really good. So I'd quite like to. If I've had them, I've not known that I've had them because it will have been like a collaboration that their name was probably really small on the side or something like that. The honorable mentions that I put 2 honorable mentions in this time. One was Cult of Oak because I hear everyone raving about it, but I know how difficult they are to get, and I know that the reality of it is probably.
I think we just need to get to a beer festival that they're going to be at. I think that's
that's it. But I didn't want to put it on the list of like things I have to try and buy, knowing it's really difficult.
Loki has just done. Is doing collaboration with them. So.
Yeah, but again, I kind of feel like it's cheating when it's a collaboration. I like it to be like straight from that brewery.
Okay, fine.
So I feel like that one was a bit more of a too much of a challenge. So I was like, I'm not going to put that pressure on me. But the other one was the Asvex Brewing. I want to try some of their stouts because obviously I had the 3 beers sent to me. I did some write-ups for them on that. Like everyone had those 3 beers sent to them. I don't mean that in a way of like I am quite important. But there was no stouts in it, and I would be quite keen to see what they can do with stouts. And they've just released 2 stouts, and one of them was a peanut butter brownie, and that sounds amazing. Unfortunately, I'm not buying them only because I'm going to the US. But if there's anyone I get back and the finances sort of build back up, I would love to try that. But I didn't put it on my list only because I've had them before. So I like to do new versus try more of. So what about your new list of 10?
So mine are ones that either I've only had a couple of and I'd like to have some more of, or they are ones that I've not had anything of. Epochal. I've got a box over there with them in. So that one is good to go. As I said, more Abbeydale Funk Dungeon. I'm really sad I didn't pick up the Sheffield Red while we were up there, because that sounds amazing. Funky Fluid, because they look like they do some really interesting sours.
I have a collaboration they've done with, I want to say Lervig. I've got 2 of theirs, I think. Nice. One's a Lervig collab, one might be an Omnipolo one.
Ooh, exciting. Cult of Oak are on my list as well. I reckon we can make that happen in a year. I reckon we can totally make that happen.
Yeah, it's just so limited, isn't it? That I'm like, I don't have that drive to be like, I've got to hit send now. I'm like, if they're not there, they're not there.
We can make it happen. I'm sure we can. New Bristol Brewery. Now, I've had a couple of theirs, but I would like more because their stouts look phenomenal.
Their stouts are phenomenal.
And you were describing them, so it sounds amazing. I've only had a couple of St. Mars of the Desert. I would like some more. I would like to go to St. Mars of the Desert.
Yeah. There you go. That's one of your goals for 2022.
I want to go to St. Mars of the Desert. I want to try some more Rock Leopard because I've not had many of theirs. I don't think I've had any. I think I must have had something. Oh, I think I've had a collaboration with Cloudwater that they had.
I think I've had like 2 or 3 of theirs. But they're because they aren't so widely produced, like they are more difficult to get. Yeah.
I want to try more Beretta because we had one at the Shakespeare that Lucienne recommended for us. It was beautiful, so I want to try some more of that. They are Italian. I want to try some more Holy Goat. I've only had one of theirs. Theirs are amazing.
I've got one of theirs. Next time we meet up, I will take it and share it.
I also want to try more STF. I had a taster of one of theirs at Brew London towards the end of the night. I want to buy all their beers.
I like that you specified towards the end of the night, which means I can't
really remember a lot about it. I don't think I even checked it. I think literally it was that got to the point where it was the notes and I just put STF and that was it. Didn't even review it because it was towards the end of the night. But I know that it was really
That's
good.
when you don't rate them.
Yeah.
You're like, I know it's good, but I don't know what percentage good it is.
And then so that's my 10, but I've then got lingering around on the list. I need to try Flop. I need to try more Tartarus. And I need to actually drink the Pillars beers that I've got.
Yeah, I think maybe that's one of my goals of 2022. Actually, I'm going to do a late addition goal to 2022. And that's going to be like, really try to be more careful about my spending. Like, I'd like to catch up to what I have and get that under control before I start buying new ones. It's just so difficult because you're like, I could buy this thing now knowing that I won't get to drink it for quite a while, but I'll have it full stop versus never getting to try it. Yeah. And I think especially where we've been going out more and more, it's made it even more difficult to drink through stock. Like I'm still buying as if I'm in lockdown and only drinking at home, and that's not what's happening.
I was thinking back to before lockdown and when we used to go out more as opposed to drinking at home. And I had a few beers around, but definitely not.
I never had this now. No. I never did because I would buy it for when I knew people were coming around.
And a lot of the breweries weren't doing direct sales because they were going out to bottle shops. So there was a lot of things that you just couldn't get because if they weren't where you were going, you couldn't get hold of them. Like now it's very easy to get hold of all these of a plethora of amazing beers. And there's just new ones coming out all the time.
I know that like
this list, yo.
That's it. It's like this list that I made. I'm easily going to have like another 10 because I constantly am seeing like this new brewery starting up or that new brewery starting up, or something I haven't heard before that I find is really interesting, or they're putting out something that's really interesting, and I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to try that now, and I add that to the list of things I want to try, and then before you even get to try it, there's about 5 new breweries that are popping up, and it's just I think you're totally right. Like I never really had a big stock of beers at home pre-pandemic because I would only buy them when I knew people were coming round. I'd go out and I'd be like, cool, people are going to come around on this day, get the beers for that day, and then it's sorted, like happy days. Any other time I was going out and I was drinking out and about. And now I'm like, cool, lockdown happened, bought all these beers, and then you just keep buying them because you're so used to buying direct or from bottle shops. Being able to just go pick it up, like click and collect, is so easy. But then now that we can go back out again, you still buy because you don't want to miss out on the ones that the place you're going to doesn't have. But also you want to be social and go out and try new things out and about. So it's that like really awkward balance of trying new things and going out, but then also trying to drink through what you've already got.
Yeah.
Well, also not feeling like you've got FOMO and you've missed out on something. Like I've had to be really good at being like, I'm not going to buy the Cult of Oak. I'm not going to buy this. I'm not going to buy that because I just can't like financially keep spending that money. I've got to be really good and only buy what I need for the podcast. But then it's like, well, I'll just buy what I need and then like one extra thing, and then that turns into like, yeah, but one more thing's not going to make it. Oh, that's in the bargain. That's in the sale bin. I'll just get that as well. So bad.
It's a nightmare. It's a problem. But you've got just about the right amount of beer.
Right amount. I've got the right amount. I don't have too many. I've got the right amount. But with that, should we go finish our weird coconut Camden?
That's
it. Like I said, it's grown on me. I'm not going to say that I love it. I'm not going to say it's the worst thing I've ever had.
It gets better as it warms. You get more of the white wine.
Yeah.
As it warms. It's still not my favourite of the evening.
Not at all. And what I've done is I've just removed the fact that it's a Pilsner from my brain, and it's made it like a little bit better in that sense. But yeah, we did this to us. So I'm going to just live with the consequences and go finish drinking this. I've really loved spending the last year plus podcast with you and hanging out with you.
It's been so good.
Bit of bestie.
Yeah.
Brewed a beer together. That was fun.
Brewed a beer at my house.
Brewed a beer at your house. You stayed at my house. We tie-dyed at my house.
God, we've done so many good things this year.
I really hope like next year's gonna be even better.
Yeah.
Let's tie-dye more things.
Let's tie-dye more things.
Let's tie-dye away more things. Excited for that. Well, our last actual record of the year. Sad.
Yeah. Tori, if people want to come and talk to you about the karma of buying Camden beers, where can they get hold of you?
If you want to come and talk about when you make a mistake and you're really sorry and you'll never do it again.
We're sorry.
You apologize. You can find me on the one, the only Instagram at adventures_in_optimism, unless you want to find me on TikTok, because that's where I put dog pics. I do dog vids, and then sometimes the occasional I broke a glass video. So yeah, you can find me pretty much on Instagram, and then I have a link in my profile. I've got a link tree that will link you to anything else that you might want to find me on, but probably don't, so it's okay. Jo, where can people find out about your empire, your printable empire, and love beer learning?
Come join my beer education empire. If you want to talk to me about my mission to get some Cult of Oak, I am a woman's brew on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I mostly hang out on Instagram, and you'll find the podcast there as well. Or come and join Love Beer Learning. Come and learn about beer with me. Come and get your beer printables from me. Love Beer Learning is on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on TikTok. We're on Pinterest. And now we're on Etsy as well.
Woo.
Come find us.
That's a new one to add to the list.
Yeah, a new one to add to the list. This keeps getting longer.
And may it get
Keeps getting
ever longer in 2022.
Getting even longer and longer. We also have a website where you can find links to all of those things, which is lovebeerlearning.co.uk. And we also have an email address, which is lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. Email us there. We'll receive that for the podcast. Let us know what breweries you want us to talk to. Let us know what beer styles you want us to find out more about. Let us know what beer festivals you want us to go to and do podcasting at. Tell us if you want to come talk to us. Email us. Let us know what you want for our podcast planning in 2022.
Yes, we're going to start planning very soon.
Yeah.
We're going to use this quiet period over the holidays to do at least beginning of the year planning. So get any content you want to hear about in, and we'll try to make it happen as best as we can, because don't ask, don't get, and all that fun stuff. We got some.
I think worked out really well for us this year.
Yeah, pretty much. I live on the philosophy of don't ask, don't get, so at least give it a shot, and it seems to have worked out so far.
Yeah.
And I think we've got some really fun things that I've got in mind for 2022 that I think we both think are quite good ideas. But we're always keen to hear what you want to hear about, so let us know, and let us know what you're like. Well, one thing we didn't cover was breweries of the year, and I think
let us know what your brewery of the year is.
Three Hills is definitely one of mine. Definitely one of mine. And Mirakai.
Mirakai, Echo, Liquid Light, I think.
Yeah, I think if you had to say like you've got two breweries right now, I'd probably go like Mirakai and Three Hills. Like those would probably be it. So let us know what your brewery of the year is, or your beer of the year is, or your favorite Christmas beers, or anything we talked about today. And hopefully I'll see you on the other side of America.
Cheers.